Where's the sample form? Huh?
It's called North Star's example form.
Book How to Be Anti-Racist. I thought it said How to Be an Anarchist.
Both are in right now.
I'll go get my computer.
Let's go.
Example. I think it's North Star's example school and assignment.
Okay, where are our other panelists?
They are logging on right now upstairs. They know that when we say to introduce themselves, to do name, where they're from, and just their camp and education experience.
Great. You have an outline somewhere?
No?
Okay, great.
Want to do any philosophy or like camp?
Hello.
Wow. Awful lighting.
Awful lighting?
Wait. Yeah. Should be.
Better panelist here.
Our flashlight.
All right, so Rebecca, I'm gonna stop your video so that you're not on.
Okay.
It's time to turn it on, okay?
Okay. Okay.
How do I hide?
It's gonna be Rebecca and Lex.
Hide non-video participants.
Great. Okay.
Okay, I think you're just going to do introductions of us.
Mm-hmm.
We'll kick it to the education coordinators to introduce themselves. We're going to review the form and like the philosophy of like if it's not on the assignment and it's going to look different for third graders versus 10th graders. Talk about, I think we can even talk about phone calls after the education
coordinators.
Yep. And then field questions. I think you should do like a brief overview of like just a reiteration of like why we're doing this, why this works, why this is important.
The whole program.
Yes.
Okay. You're Brian Glickman. You're Dan, but you're not coming.
I'm trying to get on here. C-O-V-I-D.
I just shared with you. It works. All right, should I start the webinar?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Stand up straight, Robinson.
Looks like sure.
Hi, everybody. We've got people filtering in here, and we're going to give a few minutes to let all of our participants join the meeting and make sure that everyone is online here for what we're calling our version of back to school night, when school is just going to look a little bit different than we're used to school looking. So we'll give everybody just a minute to get all set from there, and then we're going to make some introductions and get started in filling everyone in on exactly what we are envisioning here for fall camp. So looks like the flow of people has slowed, so I think we can go ahead and get started. I'm Andy Schlensky. I'm Andy Schlensky. I'm the owner and director here at North Star Camp. Right here, we've got Robin Bain, our assistant director, and she will be overseeing all of the educational components of our fall camp program. And so in a couple minutes, I'm going to turn things over to Robin, who will be leading the way on what our education components are going to look like for the fall camp here. We are so excited about the program, and I was up here in the spring with Lainey. We came up here on April 1st, and Lainey was doing her remote schooling from here, and it made such a difference to just be up here and outside, and just feeling good about the world that we were getting to experience. Things felt normal, things felt fun, and we really were able to enjoy our time up here, even though remote schooling had its challenges. And so we're excited to be able to share that with everyone here for fall camp. That's why we're doing it. Kids need social time. Kids need outdoor time. Kids need to be having fun and engaged in the world around them. And we really feel like providing this opportunity over the summer is going to give them that in a way that they can't safely experience right now at home with remote schooling. And I really believe that doing this is an opportunity to both do what we believe we can do best, which is provide that child development and work on those projects, while simultaneously helping keep the kids safe and making sure that we're not part of contributing to the public health crisis that coronavirus has caused. So with that, let me turn things over. Well, let me introduce here. We've got here right in the room. We've got over our Robin's shoulder, Dan is here, and then here's Glick, who's on a computer over there, Brian Glickman. So just to describe sort of how our roles are going to break down here in the fall. I'm going to still be overseeing everything as it sort of relates to camper and child issues. Robin is going to be overseeing the educational components, and Dan will still be overseeing the operation of our camp program. Glick has been helping as a jack of all trades as he's set up fall camp and hired our wonderful staff that we've got in place. And in a little bit, we're going to introduce you guys to some of our education coordinators who are going to be the go-betweens between parents and our camp staff here, and they're going to be organizing that. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn things over to Robin.
Great. I think.
Oh, you know what? Actually, as long as this popped up, let's do these introductions now. Looks like David popped up there. I'm going to ask Rebecca. David and Luke popped up there. I'm going to ask Rebecca and Lex to start their videos so that they can go ahead and introduce. So looks like Luke and David, you guys are unmuted first here. So if we can have you guys introduce yourselves and give a little bit about your backgrounds.
Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. So, hi everyone. My name is Luke. I'm originally from the state of Maine, where I got my bachelor's in recreation before heading to upstate New York, where I got my master's in outdoor education. I have been working at a pretty wide variety of camps and outdoor education centers for the last 10, 12 years. I have worked with kids, high school students, college students, adults in pretty much every capacity, everything from challenge courses to classroom instruction in pretty much every time zone across the US. This is my first time here at North Star Camp. And I gotta say, with all the experiences I've had, it looks like a really fantastic program so far, and I'm really excited to be here.
And my name is David Schwartz. I'm from Highland Park, Illinois, outside Chicago. My camp career includes 13 years at Camp Menominee in Eagle River as a camper, a counselor, and program director. My professional career includes 15 years as a psychotherapist, most recently at a college counseling center. I recently decided to make a career change and went back to school for my master's degree in education from DePaul University. And I, like Luke, am very excited about this idea of fall camp, and I'm very happy to be up here.
Hi, I'm Rebecca. I'm from the Twin Cities area of Minnesota, and I graduated from St. Olaf College, where I studied English and China Studies. After that, I went and taught English in China, and I've taught some English online as well. And besides that, I've spent 5 summers at a camp up in Minnesota where I've been on the counseling staff, challenge course stuff, and outdoor or environmental education stuff. And I'm also really excited to be part of this program.
Hi, I'm Lex. I'm from Flint, Michigan. I have a degree in fine arts, and this will be my 12th year, I believe, working in camping and youth programming. Over the past about 4 years, I've been teaching marine science. So yeah, pretty excited to be here.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. All right, Robin, I'm going to turn it over to you to talk about how the education program is going to work.
Great. Yeah, so we are so excited to be launching this first fall camp program with us. I'm going to start by just explaining kind of how our system at camp is going to work. We're also going to walk through the school form together that's been sent out to everyone to make sure that everyone understands the information we're asking, and certainly going to also take questions at the end as well. So you've met our education coordinators. We've been joking with them that they really, while our campers are here, are going to be like your child's teacher, that everyone will be assigned to an education coordinator. They'll work with specific pods and ages. The difference is that while they all have great education experience, they've worked with kids for a long time, they're really going to help your child with everything that comes outside of the teaching. So they'll be your teachers without the teach. We've been joking that we're calling them the ERs. So the education coordinators will be on a daily basis checking in with your camper and student, making sure that they're reporting to be at their classes, helping to organize their schedules if they need that, really monitoring the assignments that will also be due on a weekly basis, and just helping to get things done, helping to identify if they're going to need more support, have some of those conversations to make sure that the education side of camp goes and runs as smoothly as possible. Because we all know that in order for fall camp to run smoothly, school has to come first before we open it up to all of the great activities, our great amenities, and all of the fun stuff that comes along with being at camp. So they really are going to head that up. We also have counselors that are going to be here. We have lead counselors that are going to be living in the cabins, and assistant camp counselors that are going to be living in the cabins. Our lead counselors are also a lot of camp gurus. They're camp professionals that are coming from other camps that are not taking classes themselves. So these staff members will also be in the study spaces with your students on a daily basis, communicating quite a bit with the education coordinators, making sure that they're helping their campers and students at the time stay on top of it. Our assistant counselors will also be around. They're going to be in cabin during cabin time. They're going to be around during game time, but they themselves are students as well. So making sure we're going to make sure that they get their studies done on a weekly basis. Many of them are in high school or college as well. And so we're supporting them up here. But those are kind of the different staff members that will be working regularly with your camper and student on a week-by-week basis. As we wrap up the call at the end here, kind of one of the first things we've asked our education coordinators to do after our webinar here is that between now and before your camper arrives on Saturday, we're asking our education coordinators to reach out to each family and just start the conversation about your student. Help them understand who your student is, what their styles of learning are. Make sure that if you have any specific questions as it pertains to their schedule and understanding it, that they will be there to help and start to navigate that process. But we will have a phone call out to every single family starting tomorrow through the rest of the week. So be on the lookout for camp to give you a call on that. Great. We are going to go ahead and jump into looking at an example form that has been sent to everyone that can help kind of explain how our schedules and assignments and a lot of this for school is going to work for us. So this should be in one of the last emails. We're going to start sharing our screen so you can also see what we're looking at. We're going to share what you're looking at right now is called North Star's example page for weekly schedules and assignments. At this point, every single family should have already gotten an email from me with their student's individual form that will look identical to this, but will be specifically for your student. So this is a living, breathing document. Hopefully you've started to take a look at it, but it's meant to be updated on a regular basis. So if you look in the left-hand side, this really is a lot of information that we're requesting just about who your child's teachers are, some of their contact information. We want to make sure that we have all of that on hand. So if they need to help logging into a session, logging into a class, that they're not fumbling through their own notes, that we can go back to this shared document together, which our education coordinators will have access to, our lead counselors, if they're in the classroom, kind of the classroom space, I should say, outdoor or indoor with your student, they'll have access as well. But really that we want you being as specific as possible to share kind of what portals your child is using as they start school, and then contact information along the way. So make sure those left-hand boxes, really, you'll fill in as much as you can right now. And then that part will probably stay the same for those 6 weeks that our campers are in session with us. On the right-hand side of the document, starting with the assignments on the top and then the synchronous learning schedule underneath that, this is where we will update the schedule and assignments regularly. So if you can see, we feel like we got pretty fancy with fall camp here, that we've built this form for every individual, but we also have, for the our education coordinators and our lead counselors, have given the ability to look at this screen for every single one of their students. So they're going to have a master schedule built off what you put in here. So starting
even the kitchen staff has it, so that they know what time that everybody needs breakfast and lunch.
Picking up their lunches, yeah. So if you see kind of some of the important parts on the assignments portion, we do want, it does say to list your first and last name on every single day. This is so when we're looking at the master schedule, we know exactly what student we're looking at. And what we want you to do is, before the week starts, to go in to your child's portal or look at their syllabus, wherever you are getting your information, and help our staff understand what assignments are coming down the pipeline. So the way that this top works is that any assignment that's due before class begins on that day, we want you to write it down here. Now, that will look very different for our elementary students versus our high school students. So if you know every single assignment that your child is doing, that you are shared that information from a teacher on a regular basis, and you want us, the camp staff, to be on top of it and making sure that they are getting their to-do list done, that needs to be listed on each of these individual days. You can write little notes as far as if you've got a bigger book report that's going to be due, but it's going to take about a week to do, go ahead and list it here so that our staff know that they should start working on those projects in little increments of time. Our message is, if it's written down here, we can help make sure that the kids get it done. For some of our older students that really are taking more independence in their learning, teachers want them to take over, and parents, you perhaps don't have all of this information. That's okay. We'll work with the students, but we do want to just make sure that we communicate again and again that if it's written on this form, we can ensure that it's getting done. If it's not written on here, we can have conversations. We can still check in with your child, make sure that they're doing their work, but we can't make any promises on the specifics when we ourselves don't know them. So that's kind of how the way the assignments portion of this form is meant to work. On the bottom then, we have both a synchronous learning schedule, and then if we scroll down, there's a portion at the bottom that is at the bottom for an asynchronous schedule as well. For your child's weekly schedule, and like I said, I can't reiterate this enough, we'll send out updates and reminders, but we want you to complete this on a week-by-week basis. So you can see that our example form starts on September 14th, that we've then listed the class that we'll be taking, as well as the start time and the end time. This is the way that our education coordinators will then know when they are supposed to be in class. If you have even just a description of period 1 and when it starts and when it ends, that's also helpful. But the more details you can share with us, the more helpful it is. We do ask, as you share, fill out these cells, go ahead and list every cell that that time frame pertains to. In the event that it doesn't kind of overlap nicely, for instance, our grid only shows, it starts at a 9:15 and the course only starts at 9:10. Just approximate, but help us understand when those times are, so list them off to the side. You can still put 9:10 to 10 o'clock. And then once again, list every single cell. That will just help us as we view it across our master schedule and help be clarified. And we do want you to put it then for every single day of class. I've had some parents that have already contacted me and asked about rotating schedules, perhaps if they have 1 week is the same versus a second week that is on a second schedule. As you start to fill this out, instead of recreating the wheel every single week and having to put in that same information, if you would like to save notes about when your child is in class, you've already put it in there once, you can always copy and paste and save it off to the side, perhaps just over here to make notes for yourself. But just realize that when our education coordinators are looking at the schedule, when our staff are looking at it, they will just see what is in this specific grid. But by saving notes off to the right, that does save you a little time if you are knowing that you're going to just oscillate back and forth on a regular basis for that schedule. So that's kind of just a little tip right there. If you're feeling like you're going to have to be, putting in a new schedule every single week, just save it off to the side. For our asynchronous classes, so as we get started, we anticipate that many teachers are going to start teaching all together in groups, and as the semester continues on, that there are going to be time periods that they'll be able to post lessons in advance or tell students to complete their work when they are able. So those asynchronous schedules, we want go ahead and list by the day, just at the bottom underneath the regular week-by-week schedule. So go ahead and list what class it is and just under the exact day. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, when they are intended to do those classes. Let's see, did I forget anything on the schedule?
I think that's the big thing. The philosophy behind the schedule is as important as the schedule itself. And we know that different campers of different ages are going to have different needs of support from their parents and from their teachers. And so your 3rd or 4th or 5th grader is going to have a little more help inputting the schedule and all of the assignments than the high schoolers are. But for our sake, what we need is that everybody that is on, everything that is on here is what we are easily able to hold them accountable to, right? If it doesn't make it onto the schedule, you have to assume that you as parents have to assume that we don't know that this is something that your child needs to do. And so anything that doesn't make it on here, we are not able to hold your child accountable to. And by the way, you saw on here some other, there's the specials, but know that on here should go any tutoring or extracurriculars or music lessons or bar mitzvah practice or whatever it is that might need to be on your child's schedule for the week should be on their schedule, so that our team here can build this right into their week and into their days. And just so you know, what we're then going to come do behind this is we're going to go ahead and build out the camp program behind this, so that we can make sure to take advantage of all of their good time. So when you look here at this sample schedule, which is which is my schedule here, there's enough of a break with 1 hour between social studies and art on Monday that I can both have lunch and go water skiing during that time. And so those are the kinds of things that we're going to need to do off of this schedule as well. But again, I cannot reiterate it enough. If it is not on this schedule, we have no means to hold your camper, your child accountable to either their class time or their assignments.
Speaking of assignments, when our staff are working with the campers and students, we have started to work with our staff here and letting them know what our expectations are. We intend that every assignment that your child is finishing in their workspace will be looked over by one of our staff. So they will, your child will call out to raise their hand to say something to the effect of, "Hey, I'm done." And a staff member will come over, glance over their shoulder. They are not going to check it for content, but just make sure that they've done their work, that they've completed it, and through observation and through working with them and through knowing your child, that they've done their best, that their best attempt. So that they haven't rushed through it, that they haven't just put one-word answers if it's asking for something more, but not going to check it for content specifically. We fully intend that the staff that are here, that our education coordinators, our lead counselors that are primarily going to be with your campers during the day, during school time, will act like non-educational teachers that are at home working with their kids during e-learning. So they may, ask a question, they may say that they don't understand and help for clarification. The staff and the campers together can look at a concept, but we are lucky enough to have a lot of future educators, to have a lot of current educators here. We also have staff members that do have experience working with students in different capacities as far as teaching or in the classroom as paraprofessionals. But our intent is to have them, have the children working on their work independently and making sure that they are just being held accountable for what they are turning in, not the actual content itself. So that is another piece of the school side.
I'm gonna take us off of screen sharing here. And I just, as we're talking about that, want to reiterate again that what we intend to do is to provide a similar level of support that would be provided right there at home and by you as parents. So we know that being a parent during remote schooling has its challenges, to also be at work and also be taking care of all of the other things that need to be taken care of at home. And that is what our staff are here to do, is to take over those roles for you.
Let's talk a little bit about school schedules and what we picture it looking like at school during the school day. We do have campers that are from all 4 time zones across the country. So we will have different start times. We will have different end times. We will also have different meal times for breakfast and for lunch. So we fully intend that groups will be working together in workspaces. Sometimes it's going to be outside. Sometimes that's going to be each of our pods, each of our age groups will they're going to have one cabin that they live in, and then very close next door, they're going to have a classroom space in one of the cabins as well. That'll be equipped with tables and chairs, making sure that the workspace there is kept to a library environment, so that there are people that are working, but that people should plan on using their headphones when they're in classes so that they can focus and listen and participate to the best of their ability. And then we'll have the staff members that are kind of roaming and checking in at minimum on a 15-minute regular basis. So they should be glancing over their shoulders, making sure that they're looking at the screen that your child is in their class, so that they're not just watching something on Netflix, when they should be paying attention to the instruction that's happening at that point in time. So along with the schedule, kind of mentioned this briefly, but when it comes to meals that we are planning for our work day, or during our school day, from a Monday through Friday basis, that we're going to have a lot of grab and go options for both breakfast and for lunch. So we'll be, the campers will be ordering some of their meals in advance, letting us know their preferences when it comes to ordering their lunches, like sandwiches and salads, letting us know what they like on there. We're going to have hot lunch a few times a week, so they can also come in and grab what the hot lunch option is, but making it very easy for people to take their their lunches based on when their schedule allows, not having a set time as we normally do during the camp summer. So those are ways that people will also, they'll have access to snacks. So if they, in the morning when they come in and they grab their breakfast, they'll be able to load up on things that sound good to them that they want to eat throughout the morning, and as well doing the same at lunchtime to have snacks as they go into their classes for the afternoon before we open up more and more camp activities after homework is done.
And you know, when you go into one of those restaurants where you can check off a list of exactly what you want on your sandwich or on your salad, and you can put that in, that is what our menu looks like. And so the guys will get that for the week so that they can pre-order, it'll be ready for them, just like you would at one of those trendy, cool new salad places that I definitely never go to. All right, a couple good questions that came in here in the Q&A that I'm going to answer live. One is about working with kids from their own time zone. They're going to be working with kids from their own pod, and that's really important, particularly in the first 2 weeks, where we'll still be in our initial quarantine phase, keeping the group smaller. It's more important that they are put together by their pod. And then we have a question here about what they can bring. I've had a couple questions about baggage, and because winter clothes are bigger, because there's some more stuff, some people have said, I don't know that we're going to fit into our usual 2 duffel bags. That's okay. We're going to have fewer people in cabins because we are anticipating that people are going to have more stuff. They're going to need a little bit more space. And so then this question was also about a rolling bag because of textbooks and notebooks, of course. We'll be ready. We'll be ready to go with whatever baggage pickups we need to do. And do know that the kids will be able to leave their things sort of at their school cabin or their study cabin, so that we are ready to go with that. Is there other stuff you want to go over before? Because now there's a bunch of questions coming in, and so we can.
No, I think that we can definitely start taking questions.
Great. Well, I'll run through as many of these live as possible. You can definitely still continue to send snail mail. We will distribute that the same way. We still will have our camp stamps thing up and running if you want to send mail that way. But in reality, they'll have their phones, and you'll be able to, and they'll have their computers, so you can also text them and email them. And while I'm on the topic, I know I've said this to most of you individually, but I want to say this to the group, where I think this is one of the biggest keys to success. So anybody who's been with us for the summer before has heard me say that I believe one of the most important things that the boys need to know before they come to camp is that when something inevitably is bothering them at camp, that they share that with us as staff, their counselors, us as directors, the village directors, any of the many staff. And we're going to have more staff, I think, than we're going to have campers here for fall camp. There's going to be plenty of people to share that with. And so that remains important. And so what I ask you as parents is that when you inevitably get a text that, so-and-so said this or so-and-so did this and they're upset, that you send back a message that says, great, did you tell your counselors? Oh, thank you for letting me know. Please tell your counselors. That's what they're there for. Have you talked to Andy or Robin about that? That's the message we need, because this is, it's going to be a whole new world for us, allowing phones and that sort of constant communication at camp. But we still intend on teaching autonomy and independence and self-reliance and self-advocacy, because that's what we believe in. That's what we want to do. And so we do need your help with that as it relates to the communication. And so even though you'll have access to more communication, please make sure that it continues to be within the philosophy of what we are intending to teach the boys and living up to our values. So that I'm going to go through some different questions. We will definitely help the boys connect to printers and print. We've got a bunch of printers in the office. We're going to have extra printers available. Stuff can definitely be shipped to camp, whether that be ahead of time or while we're there. We will be providing laundry bags for new campers. and then I see a question about wetsuits. The boys can bring their own wetsuits. We're going to have a couple lying around here, but the idea isn't to be doing a lot of swimming if it's cold. We'll be on the water more than I think we'll be in the water. So if they want to water ski on a sunny 62-degree day, I'm all for that. They'll just come with a sweatshirt and a winter jacket and a winter hat to put on right when they get out of the water. And so that, I believe, is really important. I see a question about power strips, and I think that we have power strips going into all of the cabins. I don't think that, I know that we have that happening. So it's not a terrible idea to bring an extender if you're worried about having multiple things plugged in at the same time, but we will be providing those power strips. All right, and back, a couple questions going back to phones. One, how do we make sure that they don't play on their phones instead of doing camp activities? That is something that we've talked about with our staff, is that the counselors who are supervising the study spaces, their job is not only to make sure that they're on task when they're working, but it's also to get them out there so that everybody gets right to playing and enjoying and making the most of the camp opportunities that are available to them when they're there. And so that's why having that schedule ironed out for the week so that we know exactly what it is. If it's not time for a schedule, and particularly for our younger guys who won't have nearly as much homework, if it's not synchronous class time, we're gonna get them out of the cabin and playing. I saw another phone question at the same time.
Will there be times of the day where the phones will be put away?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So at its simplest, the way that we're going to try and operate phones is that when it's school time, they can have their phone, and when it's camp time, the phone should be put away. And so they'll know when that is. Our staff know when that is. So meal times, we don't want to see their phones at the table, right? We want to engage in good conversation. If they're at archery, if they're at the climbing wall, if they're shooting hoops, their phones should not be a part of that. And we will not hesitate to take their phones away from them until their next school time, if that's becoming an issue. And then at lights out every night, their phone is going to go into the counselor quarters to charge, to ensure that the kids are not up all night playing on their phones, because that is definitely something that we don't want to happen there. All right, a couple questions about study spaces. One is, can we send a monitor? And if so, are there things that they can leave in their study cabin? Yes. The study cabins, their gear, their stuff, their school supplies can stay in the study cabin. That's the whole idea, that's sort of their little classroom, their little red schoolhouse, in this case, where they can walk over to the schoolhouse and leave school at school and leave their cabin to be sort of still their bedroom space. There's only going to be like five or six people sharing a study space at most, and so in a cabin that is not a lot of noise, and so with headphones in, that will allow for multiple conversations to happen at the same time.
Some of the cabins that we're also using as the study spaces have both a counselor quarters and a cabin quarters that we're intending to put tables in. We're planning on also having an additional cabin just for taking tests, that if they need a really quiet space that they're not going to be distracted during one of those high pressure times, that we want them to have that environment. So we are trying to make sure that that we're setting up the environment for success, that we're spreading people out and making sure that we give them what they need in order to get classwork done.
I see a question about the Zoom quality. So we are on a hotspot now, and we're on a Google Fi hotspot that I've been using for the summer. I obviously don't know how it's coming through, but I've only seen one message that there's been intermittent quality things. it's not perfect. We are definitely in the North Woods, and have to acknowledge that it's not going to be perfect. And this is not like being on high-speed city internet. But hopefully what you're seeing is that it is good enough to get the job done. You are certainly going to get it. Most of the kids, I know that even Laney's second grade class has access to everything recorded as well, so that if they do miss something because it's disconnected, they are able to review that as well. So how are the cabins arranged? And they're going to be mixed together, but only close together in ages. So we're going to have sort of, in order to set everybody up for success, we're going to have sort of a high school pod, some middle school pods, and then an elementary school pod is what we're looking at in terms of arranging that. I see a question about a piano for piano lessons, and we do have a staff member with a keyboard here that I could ask, but with that specific question, if you'd reach out individually so that we can confirm, because I don't want to promise his good keyboard to be used. But we have many. I'll tell you, we have our fall camp staff is very musically talented. I know many of you have asked about various music lessons and music opportunities. This is definitely one of the most musically talented groups I've seen put together, with everyone from orchestra instruments to the guitar to musical theater and vocalists. So that's pretty impressive group that they'll be able to share that musical talent with your boys. I see a question about sending kosher meat. The way we handle that during the summer is if somebody keeps kosher at home, they can send up kosher meat, and we do 1-for-1 substitutions. So if we're having chicken that night, we'll cook a piece of kosher chicken so that it is kosher meat. Our kitchen is not kosher, but it would be done in a kosher style in that way. We'll go from kosher food to potatoes for arts and crafts. We will do everything we can to make some of those random supply lists happen. We certainly have hammers and plenty of the basics for arts in our Arm & Hammer, our arts and crafts studio. So please don't feel the need to oversend anything that you just need to borrow once like that. We can definitely help with that. And as long as you give us advance notice, and that's why we want everybody thinking ahead, we'll be able to either, you'll be able to ship any supplies in that you need, or we can get some of those things here if you give us a week's lead time. We can make sure that we have on hand what we need. We do have guitars. We teach guitar over the summer. Acoustic guitar is one of our classes, and so we do have some guitars here. I'm no musician myself, but I know that we have a couple of smaller guitars for some of the smaller guys and some regular size guitars for the bigger guys. But I am the guy that they tell I don't even sing the camp song Forest Green correctly every Friday night because I'm tone deaf. So I'm not the guy to ask about that. All right, what do weekends look like? The weekends are going to be very much camp. With the group that we have, it's going to be a smaller group of people, and we're going to have lots of differing needs. Some of our high schoolers, we're going to have a lot of homework even over the weekend. Some are going to have no work at all to do. And so we view this as being a very collaborative process. And so by Thursday, we're going to have taken everyone's input on what we want that specific weekend to look like. And that is going to take a little bit of work and a little bit of flexibility, but we've got the group to support the boys through that and to make that really fun. And so we might say, all right, we have some interest. We've heard we have some interest in going on an overnight camping trip. And so who would be interested in doing a Friday night and Saturday all day camping trip? Who would be interested in some special activities, going to explore the North Woods, day hikes, getting out and about to some of the state parks and the beaches are going to be options for us. We're going to, of course, have access to all of the activities here at camp and make sure that we have those things. I know we have some boys that want to make sure that they have opportunities to watch some football, and we're gonna leave that as an option. So we're going to do this in a very democratic fashion so that everybody's having their needs met on the weekends. And I think one of the biggest variables to that will be as we see how the school schedules in fact come in and how much homework there is. It seems tell me if you're hearing the same thing, but people are going to ease, a lot of the schools are going to ease in. And I've even heard some people say the first 2 weeks are just like orientation, and they're really slowly building on the remote learning to get the guys into the routine. So I think we're going to have a lot of flexibility, particularly at the beginning of our fall camp, in order to maximize the weekends and those non-school times for camp. All right, will counselors remind the boys to charge laptops in addition to phones? Yes, the laptops will either stay plugged in the study spaces, and again, the phones will go to be charged overnight in the counselor quarters so that they're not with the kids. I think we've answered all the questions in the Q&A. Please go ahead and let us know if you have any more questions. I see a question about the temperature. So it was our coldest day and night today that we've had so far. We had a high of, looking over at my weather station, we had a high of 57 and a low tonight of 42. We had a similar low overnight last night, and we're using radiant heaters so that there's no exposed heating element. And the cabins stayed warm enough. The guys were happy. Our goal is to have the cabins up at the coldest, on the coldest nights, in the mid 60s, and hopefully even higher. We're going to have multiple heaters in every cabin to take care of that. And so that is where we are on that. It is okay to send packages. We ask that they not be food, and we ask that they be essentials only. So during the summer, our package policy is reading materials only. I know that there's going to be some school supplies and some other things that are unforeseen needs for fall camp, and we'll do that. But let's try and avoid wasteful things. There's no need to send any tchotchkes because we don't want the boys, one, all that stuff ends up in the garbage anyways, and two, we don't want them sitting inside playing on anything else when they have free time. We want to get them outside and engaged in the camp activities. And I see another question about, is it okay not to send your kid with a phone if you're sending a hotspot instead? Absolutely. That is totally fine. I'm going to have all sorts of new gray hair from seeing this many phones at camp in the first place. So anybody that wants to avoid sending a phone will be much appreciated. So please feel free to keep the questions coming. Above all else, we know that this is going to be a work in progress, and this is a new program at a new time. There are a lot of unprecedenteds here. And my commitment to you isn't that I have all the answers right now, but my commitment to you is that we're going to work with your boys and with you and with your boys' teachers to figure it out. There's nothing about this that we've said this is something that we just can't do. This is all stuff we can figure out. And so while it's going to be new, and while there are going to be some bumps along the way, we do know that we've got the people here and we've got the resources here to make this a successful 6 weeks of what we know is going to be a challenging year, and has already been a challenging 6 months. And so that's what we're looking for here. Did you get those questions done? The last one, this is not a question. We heard you guys mentioned on NPR today. Yeah, we got a quick mention on NPR. Did get a quick mention on NPR. We were featured on ABC News. We were actually the top story on ABC News, which was kind of cool, and a couple other Chicago stories as well. So that was cool. And that's right. Ari says chairs up, which is how we end things. But at fall camp, Glick came up with the catchy line. It's chairs up and pencils down is what our sign off is going to be at the end of announcements. So thank you guys for filling in. You should anticipate again in the next few days hearing directly from your son's education coordinator, who will give you a call to introduce themselves and say hi and ask about any of your child-specific educational needs or concerns that we'll be getting in there. I see another question snuck in about if we'll be doing nightly newsletters. Not the same way that we were during the summer. Frankly, there just won't be as much happening, and I cannot think of any ways that I could make sound as exciting what's happening at camp when your kids are studying for half of the day. So maybe we can get some shorter ones and some quick blurbs up, and we'll certainly get as many blogs as we can, but it won't be every night the way it was for the first half of the summer. But we'll be in regular communication, and we'll still be posting pictures of the fun activities. And as always, if you need anything, please feel free to call if you have any concerns about your child. We don't want you to hesitate to call or email or text. That's what we're here for. So thank you guys for making this work. We're really excited to get the boys back up here and to have camp in action and fall camp in action. And we will look forward to seeing you then. Thank you guys. Have a great night.
Thank you.